Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Kudokwashim Shaike. I'm here to talk to you about everything interviewing. If you're interviewing in tech, I'm your guy. The reason that I'm your guy is that I've interviewed with over 60 companies at this point since November last year. So that's about in the last 9 to 10 months. I've interviewed with over 60 companies, most of them big tech companies, and AI companies as well. I wanted to highlight companies like OpenAI and Anthropic, Adept, Character AI. I've interviewed with all those companies up to on-site. So I have a lot of things to share that I think will be very helpful. And also with other companies as well that I've interviewed with, the likes of Airbnb, Google, DoorDash, any of these big tech companies you can think of. I've have an inside experience up to on-site that I can share with you, from recruiter phone screen to technical phone screen to on-site, that I think will be valuable for you. Without wasting too much of your time, these videos are going to be really direct to the point so you don't feel like your time was wasted at all, and so that you get the most important things. And these videos are only going to be three tools that I found on the journey that I think will be helpful for you. In this particular video, one of the things that I want to talk about is I keep hearing from people that I talk to and people that I mentor that they want to understand, for a lot of people, they're even struggling getting an interview, like especially in this market. They're like, okay, I know that you want to teach me system design, you want to teach me how to lead code, you want to teach me how to problem solve, but what about actually getting an interview? So I thought I would take us 2 steps back and actually address the first fundamental step, which is actually getting into the door. And I also wanted to address specifically why you may not be receiving callbacks. So for some of y'all, like, you are actually sending out a resume, and those are the people that I'm going to be addressing. If you're not sending out resumes, this video is probably not for you. You need to start sending out resumes and see how it will go for you. If you haven't written a resume, this video may actually not be that helpful, because you actually need to write a resume. You need to be sending out your resume to different companies and recruiters and actually waiting to hear back. If you have not been hearing back at all, and you're getting super frustrated by the fact that no one is reaching back to you, this video is gonna be just precise and just perfect, just for you. So yeah, let's get into it. Why are you not receiving callbacks? So initially, I didn't quite run into this problem myself, because of one of the reasons I'm going to talk about. One of the reasons I'm going to share that will be helpful for you, that I've been doing and that I was doing right off the bat, because I didn't want to stay in the job market for too long. Actually, to step back and tell you my story, I got laid off in November. And for me, I didn't have that much time or that privilege of waiting and sitting around without a job. And the reason is I'm from Zimbabwe. And so if you're an international person, you only have 60 days to find a job if you're on H1B, which I was on H1B. I am on H1B. So I'll tell you how I managed to navigate the whole paperwork in a different video. But for the sake of this video, I only had 60 days to find a job. And so that actually helped me to be more strategic and to do exactly one of the things I'm going to advise you to do if you're not getting callbacks. So there are 3 things that I'm going to advise you. The first one is that your resume probably sucks. And I was trying to find encouraging words to say this, but I thought, like, there's no other way that really describes what I'm trying to say but to say these precise words. And guys, I value you and I care about you, and I understand how it feels like not to hear back, because I've also interviewed and I've also reached out to many people that have not hit me up, that have not reached out back to me. So I understand. My success rate, I'm telling you about all these big numbers, but you don't get to see what's on the back end. I'm only telling you the interviews I've had. I'm never telling you about the interviews I haven't had. So trust, my success rate is probably 10% in terms of getting callbacks, right? But I'm going to tell you how to get that number such that it's a higher number, so that you're not crying about your response rate. Anyways, the first thing that I want to share is that your resume probably sucks. And what I mean by that, please don't get caught up in the words. What I really mean by that is that you haven't tailored your resume to the specific role that you're applying for. So what some people have advised, and I don't truly fully agree with this. The reason why I don't agree with it is that you'll get tired pretty quickly. is that some people suggest fully tailoring a resume for each individual role. I think that's very effective, but I don't advise that. The reason why I don't advise that is like what I said, it gets tiring, because especially if you're trying to get to the volume that I've been able to get to, doing it that way would actually, you would be down in 1 week. You won't be able to be able to sustainably doing that. What I personally advise is that you tailor your resume towards the things that you're actually really passionate about. And you also, in those things that you're really passionate about, let them be things that employers are actually looking for. For example, I've been very passionate about full stack work, right? I make sure to highlight my full stack work that I did at Observable. I was at Observable, I did a lot of projects end to end that put me in the senior engineer category because of the project and the responsibilities that I had. And because of that, I put on my resume that I was a senior engineer at Observable, and I highlighted the projects that showed that I had autonomy and I had responsibility for the projects that I worked on, and that I worked on them end to end. And I also put the technologies that I use, keyword technologies. You need to put the specific technologies that you worked on and that you use. For example, if you're a back-end engineer and you don't have Sumo Logic, Grafana, or Datadog in your resume, what are you doing? Right? Because that's part of your job. Your job is to monitor how the app is doing, right? That's part of your daily work. If you're not putting the systems that you use for checking your metrics, for checking like how the services are running, the CPU usage, whatever it is, all those tools, you need to put them on your resume. For example, for my role at Intuit, where I was a backend engineer, I have Spring MVC framework on there. The reason why I name drop those specific frameworks is because they actually are what recruiters are looking for. So the thing with this is that recruiters are not engineers, right? That needs to stick. If there's anything that you can hear in this thing, recruiters are not engineers. Most of them didn't even do anything technical. So what they're looking for is exactly what the hiring manager has told them. And the hiring manager has said, hey, I'm looking for someone with GraphQL experience, who has done REST APIs, who has experience in Java and Spring Framework, right? That's exactly what they hear. And guess what? When they open your resume, they don't care about all the things you've written about. They're looking for those specific keywords. And also, sometimes companies are not even having people read your resume. It's an AI that's reading your resume. And guess what the AI is going to be looking for? It's going to be looking for the specific keywords that need to be in your resume for you to be selected and picked. So your resume needs to be edited. Okay, the resume part. So once the resume is done, and you have tailored your resume towards the roles, whether you choose A, where you're tailoring your resume to every specific role, if you want to do that, sure, go ahead. But if you want to go with the B, which I suggest, where you have tailored your resume towards a specific niche area that you're applying for, that you're seeing a lot of roles in. For example, there's been a lot of roles in full stack. I'm a full stack engineer. For senior full stack engineer, I've tailored my resume towards that. But I also took a step further. I tailored my roles towards senior engineer roles as well, because I have backend experience, and I made sure to highlight that backend experience, highlight the tools that I use, highlight the impact that I had on the team. I have, for each of my roles, I have 4 projects for each, and those 4 projects are very tightly, like clearly described in terms of what I did, like from a star approach, what I did, the impact that it had, and the result of that, the resulting outcomes of that. It's very clear on my resume. There's 4 each for each of those roles, and there's clarity that I can lead teams, I can mentor engineers, and I can provide feedback, and I can help other people grow in their career, which is exactly what they're looking for. And I have those things categorized, and I have those things in clear language that helps whoever, if it's the person or it's the AI that's trying to pick up those key languages. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2 is you probably don't have someone on the inside. And what do I mean by that? You have no one on the inside. In the current market that we're in, it's almost impossible. Your chances of having a callback from just sending out a resume on a role is almost close to 0. To give you an example, when I went to Afrotech, I was talking to a recruiter at Pinterest, and I was telling them, hey, I've been applying to Pinterest for so many years, for so many months since I got laid off. I've applied role after role after role. I haven't heard back. And she laughed. She's like, dude, like, I probably haven't even seen your resume, because I opened that role last week, and there's over 4,000 people on that individual role, on just like one role. And it blew my mind because I was like, this entire time I thought companies just put one role up as a requisition, but have plenty of roles and they're just using it to source candidates. No, that's not how it works. If you see one role that's out there, it's one role that they're trying to hire for. Like that role that you see on LinkedIn, that's the one that you're all fighting for. So if you think about it, if you have 4,000 people applying for that same role, that means you have 1 out of 4,000 chances of getting through. And it's actually not 1 over 4,000 chances because you still have to interview. It's 1 over 4,000 chances of you getting a call back. And then it's like and then the probability goes down from there because you have to pass the phone screen. And then the final keep goes down until it's maybe probably 0.00000% until you get to actually getting an offer. But I'm going to help you so at least you get to the phone screen. So the next thing that I think would be helpful for you is like, of course, like, let me flesh out this point a little more. So you don't have people on the inside. So who can you have on the inside? The thing that's been effective for me is referrals. Referrals still work, but they don't work as well as they used to. So back in the day, when you get a referral, you know for certain you're guaranteed to get a recruiter's phone screen, at least a technical phone screen, in the least, right? You could even avoid having to do a recruiter phone screen because they use the referral almost as like the first recruiter screen that you normally would do if they're just reaching out from seeing your resume. But now things have changed. The market is rough. So I'll acknowledge that and I'll admit it. The market is really rough. It's been rough for me as well. I'm speaking like this and trying to help you because I'm not talking about how bad it has been. Because guys, I could feel entire videotapes of like how bad the market is and how difficult and painful it has been for me. I've cried. I have videos of me crying that I self-recorded just so I could get to tell my kids and get to have it like one day maybe I'll share them with you. But I swore never to share them with anybody. They're really just for me and my wife and my future kids. But I understand that it's been tough, right? But the second thing is you need people on the inside. That could be a referral. That could be a friend you have that works there. And that also could be someone you don't even know that works at the company, but maybe you have a connection through the school that you went to or an organization that you're both part of or a church that you go to. Any organization that you're affiliated with that allows you to connect to someone else who is at a company that you're interested in, use those connections. Guys, use those connections. Don't be shy about using those connections. Don't be shy about reaching out because those are the people that can become advocates for you. And don't be shy about making new friends, right? So I went to Afrotech right after I was laid off and I was just reaching out to people. I was talking to different people. Like one of the people that I talked to, she was a manager at airport. She didn't have any roles, but she became a friend of mine, and we connected on LinkedIn. And a few months after, like literally a few weeks ago, I had an interview with her team for one of their senior engineer roles. So this are how things may not happen immediate, but don't be shy about finding people, reaching out to schoolmates, reaching out to classmates that you have that work at that company. Feel free to use that connect button on LinkedIn. And also I strongly advise if you're going to connect to someone on LinkedIn, especially if it's a cold connection, press that connect button, but also press where it says add with a note, right? And you write them a note, write something sweet. Hey, I remember you from college. It was so nice knowing you. I'm looking for a role at your company. I see there are a few roles open. Would you mind to give me a referral? Or would you mind to have a coffee with me so I can learn more about this role? If you're reaching out to a hiring manager, if you find a friend that is connected through another friend, then reach out to that friend so that they can connect you. Don't be shy about that. That leads me to my third and last point. You're not being aggressive enough. That it all boils down. If you've done the first two, if your resume is clean and clean cut, and I can help you, by the way, reach out to me. I'm offering coaching sessions to try and help people make sure that your resume can get traction, make sure that your resume can pass through the recruiter screen. Reach out to me and I can help you. But if you've done that and your resume, and you think and you believe and you've seen results from your resume being picked, but maybe you're not passing the recruiter screen, or maybe your resume is somehow not helping you, or is already helping you, and you've done the two where you've been reaching out to people, getting those referrals, but you're still not hearing back, you're not being aggressive enough. And what I mean by that is that you're gonna hear some no's, guys. It's just part of the game. It's not about how well we shoot. It's about how many of them you shoot, because eventually you're gonna get one in, right? You just have to take a lot of failure. You have to take a lot of failure before you start seeing some success. So I would advise that if you're sending out 10 resumes and then you're giving up, or 20 resumes and you're giving up, or 50 resumes and you're giving up, you're really not in the game. Because the game is to send as many as you can a day. Like, you need to be applying. And I'm not just talking about just shooting emails. I'm talking about being directed and strategic. You're also applying for roles that actually are valid to your experience. They're valid to what you can do. In this market, trust me, guys, people are not even going to look at your resume if you don't have something that ties you to the role that you're applying to. Don't waste your time. Is this not the market where you're applying for a senior engineer role when you're a junior developer? Like, it's just not gonna work. But if you have experience that you can say this is valid experience, and you can highlight that experience in your resume, and you're still not getting hits, you just need to shoot more, bro. You just need to be in the gym, just shooting until like you start hearing back eventually. And another thing that you may not be aggressive enough is you're not being aggressive to reach out to your network. You're not using the resources that you have aggressively. You're not spending enough time actually invested in making new connections that will lead you to getting a job offer. So you need to be making those connections. You need to be reaching out to friends, to family, to anyone in your community, to anyone on your LinkedIn. You need to reach out to those people and see if they can refer you and see if they can connect you to the hiring manager, just so you can get that job. And to give you an example with me, I'm constantly reaching out to folks on LinkedIn, even folks that I don't know. I'm reaching out to folks that I see are hiring. I reach out to hiring manager directly. I connect with them on LinkedIn. I try to have a conversation. I try to offer anything and everything just so I can get that job. So guys, those are my 3 strategies that I think will help you get callbacks. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions or if you have any feedback, I would love to hear it. See you in the next one. Thank you.